Good morning. Today is Tuesday, May 5th. It's Cinco de Mayo, which is when Mexico received its independence from Spain. Your objective for today is I will create Cornell notes to demonstrate my comprehension of the Lincoln-Douglas debates, as well as Harper's Ferry with John Brown, period. Okay. So yesterday you started the Cornell notes for chapter 16, section 2. You're going to continue them. You can put them on the same page and continue, or you can go ahead and do a second page. It does not matter to me. Remember, between the 2 days, you have to have a summary for section 2 at the bottom, right? Because that's Cornell notes. Okay, so let's review what you should have learned yesterday. Okay. So yesterday we read about the fact that the Free Soilers, some of the Democrats, some of the Whigs that were anti-slavery actually got together and they formed the Republican Party. And one of the major parts of the Republican Party was anti-slavery. They wanted to eliminate slavery. Okay. And we know in 1856, the Democratic Party nominated James Buchanan of Pennsylvania, and the American Party, the Know Nothing Party, grew quickly, and they were attacking immigrants, and they put up former President Millard Fillmore, but the parties were so divided that Buchanan ends up winning. And then there was another guy in there named Fremont from California. And the big thing for this section was the Dred Scott decision. Dred Scott was a slave, and he was owned by an Army officer. The Army officer took him with him when he went to his different stations. He was actually an Army doctor. And he went to Illinois, and he was up there. So he was in free territory for years. And when his owner, the doctor, died, he sued for his own freedom. He said, I've been living in free territory for years. I deserve to get my freedom. The wife was like, no, you're my property, and I'm keeping you. So it ended up going all the way up to the Supreme Court. When it got to the Supreme Court, the justice wrote that they threw out the case because Dred Scott was property, and that property cannot sue in the courts. So basically, that was the United States government supporting slavery. And it goes a step further. They also, in the opinion, said that the Missouri Compromise, where Maine and Missouri came in, Maine is as free and Missouri as a slave state, and that slavery wasn't to go north of 36 degrees north latitude 30 seconds. They threw that out, and they said the people should decide whether they have slavery or not. Okay, so that was huge. The reaction, the Republican Party was devastated. They were very upset. The people that were anti-slavery were just beyond themselves. The Southern people, they thought it was the greatest decision ever because it just said these are slaves or property, they're not people, and the slavery could go anywhere it wanted. So it was a big court decision for the slave owners. Okay, today's work. Today starts on 442. It starts with Lincoln Douglas. Okay, so Stephen A. Douglas actually, was already a senator in Illinois. And this young upstart named Lincoln, who was a lawyer, he was self-taught. He came from a poor family. He learned to read and write from his stepmother. He didn't really stand a chance. But he runs against Douglas, and Douglas ends up winning. And this is in 1858. So Lincoln starts a debate, and they end up doing 7 debates between Lincoln and Douglas for Senate in Illinois. And, it was pretty well known that Lincoln didn't want slavery to push further into the territories. But throughout all these debates, he always said wherever it stood, it should stay. He wasn't trying to take it away. Now, Douglas and his group, the Democrats, were like, oh no, he wants to eliminate slavery. But that's not what Lincoln said, by the way. Okay, so at one point, they end up having this debate in Freeport. And Lincoln pushes Douglas. And Douglas kind of gets himself in trouble because he said that the territories could legally stop slavery if they voted for it. And so the Democrats, the slavery people, did not like that. And it's known as the Freeport Doctrine, because it kind of pushed Douglas, and Douglas didn't go wholeheartedly into slavery because he wanted to keep some of the votes from the people who were anti-slavery. So he kind of was stuck in the middle. Now he does win, and he becomes the continues to be the senator from Illinois. Now, of course, Douglas was like, oh, no, Lincoln just doesn't want to free the slaves. He wants them to be equal. He thinks that African Americans are equal and should have the same equal rights as everybody else. He never said that either, by the way. But that's what Douglas was really pushing. Let's see. And then the next big thing is John Brown. Remember we learned about John Brown in Bleeding Kansas last week. Well, remember, God's telling John Brown that he should stop slavery. If that means killing people, you go for it. So John Brown gets his sons and some other neighbors and friends, and they go to Virginia. Now, when you hear about Harper's Ferry, you think it's a ferry named Harper, right? Harper's Ferry. It's not. That's actually the name of the town, Harper's Ferry, in Virginia. And John Brown and his group attacked the arsenal. An arsenal is where they keep weapons. So this is a United States Army facility. Okay, not a good idea to attack an Army facility. They will send the U.S. Army after you. So anyway, John Brown's theory is he's going to attack this arsenal. He's going to get in there, take the guns, and he's going to go around the South in Virginia and arm all the slaves. And that way they can start a rebellion and kill the white people. Well, needless to say, this didn't go over well because the Army sent people in and they ended up killing quite a few of the people. John Brown's actually survives it, and they quickly have a trial, and he ends up being hanged. And they wrote a poem about the abolitionist movement. We're like, yay, go John Brown, do what you got to do. And so they actually write a poem about John Brown's death, and you can read it if you're interested. Quite interesting. It was a rallying call for abolitionists, and they considered him a martyr. The slave owners were petrified by this. This was a new, horrible experience, and they did not like it, and they did not want these abolitionists coming down by them. So it really put the North versus the South. Again, remember, this whole section is what caused the Civil War. These are the causes of the Civil War. Okay, so that's what you're reading today. You have a great Tuesday, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.